Welcome to the Club Sesh. I haven't rolled my joint yet. I'm sorry. Oh, let me pull myself down a little bit. I haven't rolled my joint yet. Let me make sure my mic is on. Oh, I just realized all the other mics aren't here. Welcome to the Club Sesh. As Jaden said, it's, it's not going to get that political. Hi, Michelle. We're going to talk about art today. And, Bonbon decided to lay on the ground, so we might play a game of move the GoPro. How is the volume on my mic? How are we doing there, first of all? And second of all, how do you guys feel about this stream? It should be a lot faster and a lot better. Okay, cool, Jaden. I just want to double check because we have this mic here and it is, why is it doing that? I just want to raise it up a little bit so we can make sure we got good audio. Okay, so I'm smoking today. Let me look up what this nug was. It's from Cornerstone Wellness in Eagle Rock. If you haven't been there before, you should check them out. They're an excellent dispensary. They win awards all the time for being the best dispensary in Southern California, and I would argue in the country. But they are just awesome. Oh my gosh, Winslow's here. Oh, he's stuck in traffic. Hi, Madam Dram. Hi, Chasing Sunset. How's it going? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I love it. There we go. I can see this. Wait, what does it say? The warning. The stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended. Well, what the fuck do I do about that? Well, too fucking bad, YouTube. Anyway, so what I'm smoking now, small batch cannabis flower from Wildland Flower. I actually don't know what this strain is. Oh. Motherfucker. Anyway, they look cute. They're not that pretty that I need to show you up close. Let me smell them. Smells pretty good to me. It's all about how it smokes. Smokeability. How is the stream? Mosquito brutality outside for real. Oh my God. Fuck Donald J. Trump. I think that's what you're saying there, Chasing Sunset. JL Sanders, I totally agree with you on that. Let me tell you a funny story. I noticed that the house that was flying the Donald Trump flag for the last however many months since October of last year, there's been a giant Donald Trump flag on the front of their house. And guess what wasn't there today? The Donald Trump flag was gone. So there you go. They're embarrassed. Did I say something? I might have said something. Do I need to be careful saying things? Yes, I do. Did I ask them where their Donald Trump flag went? Yes, I did. Anyway. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Petra. Hi, Bright Eye Beats. Hey there, Petra, Winnie, Fraggle, Messy Nessie, everybody. I am Messy Nessie. Oh, can I just say, Michelle, your key lime pie, chic, so clean, thinnest little layer of crust. You know it was delicate. You can tell it was delicate, and it was light as a feather. I can just tell. Anyway, hi, DN, first timer. Thank you for being here. Chasing Sunset. Yes, I do speak up a lot. I think I need to shut up sometimes. And I definitely noticed that their window was open while I was walking past it. So I knew that they would hear me when I said, where is the Donald Trump sign? Where's your Donald Trump flag that you motherfuckers have been flying for however long, even though you know the neighborhood feels very uncomfortable by this flag that you're putting front and center. Like, people had put chalk out in front being like, I think they called them fascists or something like that, and they were like, love your neighbor. They responded in chalk with like, love thy neighbor. It's like, listen to your own advice, people. Chalk is nothing compared to voting to take away people's rights and voting to, this is what people voted for. I'm sorry, I'm already getting political. I'm sorry, but this shit is erupting all over Los Angeles, right? And major blue cities, sanctuary cities, they pick the lowest hanging fruit. It's all to just punish whoever Diaper Donnie decides needs to feel his wrath. Anyway, so yeah, the protests, you know, people who say they didn't know they voted for this, they voted for this. You know you're in a cult when you have a Donald Trump flag. You know what, Claudine, honestly, I feel a little bit bad because I think people thought, I don't feel bad because they thought it wouldn't be them. They thought when he said, anyone who says, I had some woman messaged me that Trump supporters didn't think it would be this. What did she say? She said, people didn't vote for that. Even if people voted for Trump, no one imagined this. This is just out of control. This needs to stop. Where the fuck were you? What are you talking about? He's been talking about this. This was what he ran on. He ran on immigration. He said he wanted to have the biggest deportation program in history. This is what he promised people. And this was a big part of his campaign, was that he was going to deport people. I think the naivety is thinking that he meant only criminals. In his mind, they're all criminals. Anyone, and a lot of people who voted for him in their minds, anyone who doesn't have their papers together, which, like, as an Italian person, being called a WAP without papers, America has a long history of doing this to immigrants, and it's really fucking stupid, and it's really fucking short-sighted, because who built this country if not for immigrants? And before anyone says, well, my ancestors did it the right way, the borders were open until when? 1920s or something? We can Google it and see. And so you didn't have to do shit. You could just show up. That's what my grandparents did. That's what my great-great-grandparents did. My grandfather's side, they moved from Sicily to Louisiana. You can guess why they moved there. Okay? And Italians were not accepted. They left Louisiana and they moved to Colorado. So, because Italians at that time, you know? So, anyway, I love immigrants. This country is built on immigrants. It's very difficult to get your immigration, to get citizenship, to get a green card. It is not easy, even for people who have everything in order, who have all of it, right? It's the same last time. Remember, they're eating the cats and the dogs. That's right. So you know, it's just fear mongering, and I won't stand for it. No one's taking the jobs. No one is taking the jobs. No one wants to do these jobs. You know what jobs I don't see young men clamoring to do? Standing in a dish pit for however many hours, standing there and just washing dishes all fucking day. From when you wake up, then you got to go to bed. And then wake up and do it again. There's nothing glamorous about it. There's nothing cool about it. You're not tweeting about it. You're not posting about it. It's not a job you can brag about. It's just a way to make money. And people are putting their lives at risk, living in a state of uncertainty with their safety and whether they don't feel welcome in this country. But they're still doing it because they want to support their families and they want to have an opportunity to live their life, and I think we should treat them with respect, and we're not. So anyway, I'm rolling my joint because I'm not happy about it. I don't like it. Fuck ICE. Hi all, except for Native Americans. That's right. That's right. That is right. And the Native Americans, we have stolen their land and we've pushed them out. And we've made promises to them. And by we, I don't mean Italians. We didn't do that. The four founders, the Americans, they made promises they didn't keep. They continue to make promises they don't keep. And it's just gross. We just voted for, I didn't vote, but people voted for more of that kind of just... You guys know what I'm talking about. This machismo, this like thump our chests. We're American. We're this, we're that. It's just kind of, it's sad. It's sad. And what can we do about it? Well, we definitely got to vote in the midterms. Okay. We got to get these fucking people out. And America first is BS. We rely so much on other countries. We rely on Canada. We rely on Mexico for a lot of things, like people are like, oh, where do you get your hot dog stuff? All that's coming from the offal. All of that stuff is coming from Mexico. And he's fucking with our trade partners. He's fucking with our food system here in America. Who the fuck is going to grow our food? Who's going to grow our food? Who's going to cook our food? Like all that food cooked by immigrants. So I just coming from a family, we all come from immigrants, unless you're Native American. So everyone has an immigrant story, For Italians, for me growing up, what did I get made fun of for being Italian? I got made fun of for having hairy arms. Always hairy arms. And one time I went into a purse store in New York and the woman called me greasy, like a greasy Italian. So we all have felt like we don't belong in this country, but we all need to make an effort to see that we all belong in this country. That's the point. And if you want people to do it legally, then there needs to be a path to legal citizenship it is so onerous. It is so difficult. It is getting someone on the phone. It's impossible. That's right. This morning they were in Central Valley chasing farm workers. They're not going after criminals. They're going after seamstresses, and they're going after kids, and they're going after farm workers. And it's sad. It's like, it's low hanging fruit. It's like when the feds would come into California to go after the cannabis industry, like close down shops. They never went after the shops that weren't legal, right? Legal. This is before recreational cannabis in California. They would go after all of the Prop D So all of the shops that are registered with the city and registered with the government, they would go after them, which is so fucked up because you're like, these are the people who are trying to be legal. They're trying to be compliant, but because they're so lazy, they don't they didn't plan this shit, right? So it's not like they went through some database and they're like, all right, where are all the criminal immigrants? Let's get their names and let's put them on an Excel sheet. And we're going to check off all the criminal murder immigrants. No, that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is, where do we know that there are undocumented people working? Where do they come together? They drop their kids off at school. They go to work. We can get them at their jobs. So they're going after working immigrants, right? So people contributing to our society and contributing, paying taxes into our country. And then they're going after churches. Often they will go after church, it's fucked up. That's fucked up. It's fucked up. Low-hanging fruit. And definitely not murderers and criminals. So anyway. But that's not totally the topic of today's session. The session, okay? Oh, wait, this is new. I'm on a PC, so it's all new to me. I'm figuring it out, but I like it. I love it. Don't see it on East Coast like New York. What do you see? They raided a church in Downey this morning. There you go. See, that's what I'm saying. That is, and they call themselves the Christian Party. That's what Jesus would do? Is it? That's what he would do? He'd go and raid churches and round people up and treat them like they don't belong. That's weird. I thought he preached to love thy neighbor. Was that not? Did I remember that wrong after however many fucking years of Catholic school and Christianity got shoved down my throat? Okay. I put perfume on and I can smell it on my arms. All right. So today on the Club Sesh, we're talking about art. That's what we're talking about. But I'm trying to find my... No, not that. Okay, here we go. I found it. What's everyone saying? Here in Spain is chill as fuck. I'm sorry to hear that. Spain. Bain in Spain. Bain in Spain. Tell us a little bit about the cannabis scene in Spain. Please, Bain. We know about Spanibus, in case you didn't know. It's a big cannabis festival there. But where is Bonbon? Ugh, okay, let me go move the camera, okay? 1 second. 1 second. I know you have the clubs there, Bain, but it's a little tricky, right? Ooh, new. Ignore my little shorts. Hopefully you don't see them. Try not to show you. Let's see if that shows you the dog. She likes to sleep where she likes to sleep. Okay? I'm trying my best here. I think that's okay. What do you see? Oh, no. Here. There. All right. Sorry, you guys. That took me a minute. That's the best I can do, okay? Michael says, as a person of color, I'm good in Spain. Oh, no. It's not good? Ooh. Okay, there you go, JL Sanders. Sorry. Took me a minute. Spain is more like Thailand as far as I know. It's kind of hush-hush, but you can find good hash and flour. Jaden, Thailand is legal. Thailand is totally legal. I did a whole show in Thailand called Incredible Edibles. If you haven't watched it, it's on Vice Munchies. One of the videos has over 2 million views, which was a very big deal. I was so proud of that because we put a lot of work and love telling those stories. So let me turn this to not top chat, but okay, so I'm going to tell you, the green curry was so good. So I wanted to fill you in on a couple things. I keep on thinking Alt T is going to give me a new tab, Winslow. I don't know if you're still here, but it's not. I wanted to www.patreon.com/edibles club. I just want to put this in here so you guys can join the club. Hi, Wolf Brew. Oh, shit. What happened? Oh, it's not. Is it control? Oh, shit. What is copy? Oh, I'm going to left click it. Copy. I'm just going to left click. Paste. There we go. I think I figured it out. So this is my Patreon, the Audibles Club. I just dropped it in the chat. So you can join there if you want to hang out. I also have subscriptions here on YouTube if you'd like to just join and support the stream. But also we're going to set it up so the YouTube will have access to a Discord chat. The Patreon already has access. And just so you know, for the 5 on it tier, we're going to transfer over the group chat to Discord. Winslow's going to be setting that up. Okay, Control Shift C is copy. So I got to do 3 fingers. Gotcha. All right, cool. So today's live stream. Sorry, we got a little distracted. How to get you the bonbon cam. It's a little small. Sorry, you guys. I can, make her bigger. She just decided she wanted to sleep on the floor. So today's stream is called, what is it even called? It's called Club Sesh, Blunts, Brushes, and Bullhorns. Okay. Pretty cool. I'm a little distracted. I'm just stoned. It's okay. The art of getting loud. We have good hash. Yes, I bet you do. CBD is growing a lot lately in Spain too. That's cool. I know CBD is really big in Italy. Okay, so basically we're going to talk about, the first little bit is going to be about cannabis and music. Okay, so I wanted to pull up some things. Okay, I'm just going to copy link address. I think this is pretty good. I'm figuring it out. I love it. Oh, wait. Okay, let me put my AirPods in. Happy Wednesday, Brian. Okay, so we have my AirPods in. Oh, and I need to order some food. What should I order, you guys? What is on the menu today? Thai food, Claudine says, and I could do Thai food. I could do Joy, which is Taiwanese. Alan is ordering Chinese, asada fries. Thai or Japanese? Should I order something for Bonbon? Like what? No, Bonbon's fine. Bonbon, she hasn't had her dinner, but she's fine. Okay, so Japanese, or do you guys have Spanish food there? Not really. Like, there were a couple of Spanish places, but I don't think they stayed open. I'm sure there are some though that are open. Osen, Izakaya, Katsu Bar. I guess I could get katsu sandwiches. That sounds kind of good. Room Pear is excellent. I went there the other day, though. I could get poke. Sushi, steak and potatoes. I had steak last night. How about a nice curry, shawarma, sushi? Okay, what the fuck should I get? This is very hard. This is very hard. Do I get sushi? Or do I get Thai? Maybe I should just get Thai. Let's get Thai. I know what I'm doing with Thai food. Okie dokie. So I'm going to be a basic bitch and I'm going to get a pad Thai. Don't argue with me. I think I'm going to get a green curry as well. And I'm going to get some steamed rice. And then it becomes a question of, do I want some vegetable egg rolls? Yes, I do. I'm going to get green curry. I don't think I need pad krapao, although I do love pad krapao guy, which is chicken. Guy is chicken in Thai. So it's like if you said pad krapao mu, that would be pork pad krapao. Do I need anything else? I don't think so. Oh, do I get a papaya salad? It's never good the next day. And this is already... Don't judge me. I want a Diet Coke. Fucking judge me. Ooh, their fried wontons look good. Chasing sunsets. That sounds delish. Whereas trying to cool off now and smoke tweeds. Fun. Okay, you say papaya salad. Fine, I'll get a papaya salad. Fine. I'm going to get it medium, which is probably a mistake. I want it Thai style with peanuts. Okay, that's all I can get because this is going to be expensive. That's $80. $80. Maybe I don't get the fried vegetable rolls. I'm going to get rid of those. We're not getting those. Where are we at now? 65.76. I could do that. Look at that dog. It's like she's passed out totally. Wow, Michelle, this would be like multiple days of eating this food because it's a lot. That's a lot of food. But yeah, now it's $65 if I don't get the egg rolls, which is fine. If you picked up would only, I know, but D, I'm doing this. I'm here. If I didn't pick up, it would be $59.60. No, these are expensive. These are big dishes. The pad thai is $18.95. The green curry is $15.95. The steamed jasmine rice is $4. The Diet Coke is $3.75. That's a little rich. The papaya salad is $16.95. So, isn't that nuts? Anyway, egg rolls don't keep well. They get soggy. That's true. All right, we're going for it. It's okay. Oh, wait, no, that's going to take a really long time. Fuck, it's going to take well, let's just do it. It's going to take a minute. And then I tip, of course. Brian, no. Do you know how hard it is to set up this stream? I appreciate you all trying to find ways to avoid me ordering delivery. But it's okay. I'm fine. What if I told them I'm famous? I think they would look at me and they'd start laughing. They'd be like, who the fuck are you, lady? No, this is like Ruined Pear is a legendary Thai spot in Hollywood. If you haven't been there before, it's like Jonathan Gold, one of his favorite restaurants. If you don't know who Jonathan Gold is or was, RIP, he was Los Angeles's, one of the most famous food critic from Los Angeles. Oh, look at Madame Dram. Too late, Madame Dram. Oh, wait, can I add items? Manja. See, Kathy. Thank you, Madam Dram. Thank you, Kathy. Also, I want to say, thank you so much. I am going to give away 5 cookbooks, and how I want to do it is people, if you want to be put in this raffle to win a personalized cookbook, I'll write it out to you. I want people to donate. I'm going to give specific nonprofits that are working to get people out of jail or prison for cannabis crimes. So fighting the war on drugs and also helping to get people off of the streets and find them homes and help them set up their lives. So I'm going to find those nonprofits to work with. It's going to take me a second to just look up. I think I have one of them already, which is Housing Works, is a very cool nonprofit. It's okay. Sorry, Winslow's texting me. Housing Works is a really good nonprofit. And so if you want to participate in that, if you want to what's infused? If you want to participate in that, then send me your receipt when you donate to Housing Works, or I want to ask my friend Nina, a good nonprofit for helping to get people out of prison for cannabis crimes. Okay, so that is something I think would be really cool. So I'm going to give 5 cookbooks away, personalized, package them up, send them. It always takes me a minute to do that, okay? Just so you know. Because I wrap it in tissue and then I do a whole thing, and I had to get special boxes to ship the books. And then you got to go to Click and Ship on USPS because I like to support USPS. And then yada, yada, yada. Minimum donation required? No, I just want people to donate, like what you can afford, as generous as you can be. It's for a good cause, And so I know some people can only afford $5. If you can afford to pay more than that, then great. We should. We're all stoners here. Let's help contribute to society, because we decided not to do that with our taxes, right? So this whole idea of whatever the economic structure that this country voted for is based on private citizens having the funds and having the wherewithal and the momentum and the impetus to donate to nonprofits to help keep our society healthy. So let's do that. Hi, Alan. Okay, I'm switching. I wanted to oh, you know what? How does this switch? I need to, oh boy. Winslow, I wonder, okay, I'm going to try and find my AirPods, because obviously I'm on a PC. So I'm wondering if it's not going to find my AirPods. Do you know what I mean? Because I want to listen to something, but I feel like because it's not, our AirPods aren't compatible with a PC. Show all devices. Yeah, obviously. Unknown device. Maybe AirPods are just for... Oh, no. Shit. Well, what can I fucking use then? What is this unknown device? Bluetooth. What Bluetooth is that? Oh boy. This should work. Try connecting your device again. Oh boy. Is there a deadline for this project to give a donation? No, I haven't even announced it, Kathleen. That's a good question. We're gonna pull it. We'll pull the raffle on 7/10 is what I'm thinking. That gives us let's raise some money. I'll make some posts about it on Instagram so people can see there too, because that's obviously where most people. Okay, this isn't working. Shit. Bum. Settings, press the button and it should show up. Congrats on the new streaming setup. Keep streaming. We love it. Is Nina coming back one day? Nina is going to be back on Saturday. So definitely. I don't have old school headphones, Petra. I don't have old school ones. I have. Let me see if these will connect. Okay, so they're on. So these should connect, but because otherwise it's going to be tricky to watch videos. We didn't make sure the earphones work. You need to disconnect them from your devices. Oh, fuck. Really, Chris? Okay, so I have to go into Find My Devices. AirPod Max. Remove. Yes, go to Bluetooth settings and disconnect there. Yes, Fraggle Rock Pothead. Nina's going to be back on Saturday. Don't you worry. Thank you so much, Cody Paredero. Okay, I'm trying to remove these. Oh, boy. Let me see if it can do it on my computer. Bluetooth settings. Bluetooth settings. Okay, I won't do it on my phone because my phone is not wanting to be. AirPod Max. Forget this device. Okay, let me see. Hello from Livermore. Oh my God, Livermore. That's okay. Shit, where did new devices? Let's see. Maybe I need to turn this off and turn it on now. Till the light flashes white. Okay. Flashes. Okay, it's flashing. Ah, Chris, you're my favorite. That's why you're an edibles producer. Okay. Connected. I think that's connected. Let me play this. Okay, I can hear it. I wonder if these are dying. Maybe I need to plug this in. Let's see what the battery's at. No, I don't want to connect to you, motherfucker. Oh, I can? Oh, shit. Okay, let me do that, actually, because I think the AirPods... Listen, part of this show is just me trying to figure out tech. Paredero means hitching post in Espanol. Very cool. Paredero. Like where you get married? Okay, let me put these in. We're going to disconnect this. Forget this device. Forget about it. But then how do I turn that on for this? How do I make it find this? Okay, so it's forgotten. Forgot about it. It says unknown device, but you'll just need to press the button on the back. Oh, this one. There's a button. See, they make it so sneaky because they're like, because they want to hide it. Huh, this one isn't as easy. Oh, wait. No, that's MacBook Pro. I don't want to connect that. I want to connect this. I'm sorry, everyone. This is probably not very exciting, but I'm literally just pressing these, trying to connect. How long do I have to hold it for? Open the AirPods case so you can see the white light. Where's this? I see a green light. I see a green light here. Come on, Bluetooth. Bluetooth is always like this to me. Okay, press and hold it until it turns white. It's green. Now turned off. Now there's no light. No light. Oh my goodness. It's beeping, but it didn't. No, nothing showed up here. Let me turn this Bluetooth off and Bluetooth on. Uh-oh. Okay, here. Duh. Okay, I'm going to hold it again. It turned off. It beeped. I disconnected it from my devices. Yes. Let me see if I needed to do it here too. No, it's not on this device anymore. And I took it off of Find My, which is very... Yeah, it doesn't want to connect. Okay, so whatever. Bummer. Hi, Delicious D. Hi, Delicious D. We're going to use the big ones. You want to know why? We haven't started on shit, Harry. I've just been trying to get this new stream going, and it's taking me a second, okay? Because I just wanted to... Okay, these are connected. We're going to stick with this. And until they die. And then we'll switch to browser so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so we're going to look at Louis Armstrong was a cannabis advocate. Let's see.
Did Louis Armstrong...
Okay, how is that noise?
One of the greatest jazz...
Is that too high?
As musicians ever, credit his creative genius to cannabis?
Uh-oh.
Louis Armstrong wasn't just a jazz legend, he was also a lifelong advocate for cannabis, which he affectionately called gauge. Louis Armstrong's love for cannabis began in the 1920s.
Why is it doing that? Why is it all spotty? It is AI voiceover, isn't it? Isn't that the world we live in, Eddie? It's all AI, motherfuckers.
During the height of his career as one of the most celebrated jazz musicians. Armstrong was candid about his use of cannabis, referring to it.
Why is the Wi-Fi so shitty kitty, man? Yay, Delicious D. Thank you. I love it. I hate that AI voice. Okay, so you guys want to watch something else, is what you're telling me. All right.
Did Louis Armstrong... Did Louis Armstrong...
All right.
Did Louis Armstrong,
Oh,
one of the
no.
greatest jazz musicians ever, credit his creative genius to cannabis?
Shut up. All right. Can we stimulate creativity? The science behind... Actually, I think I'm going to do this. The science behind making things while high. We love it. Also, today's stream is brought to you by Dasher's Waiting for Your Order. Yes. Love it. Okay. Can weed stimulate creativity? Today's session was brought to you by JJ Archuleta, who recommended it during our Discord hangout. Anyway, hope you like this. People are making lots of money pushing these AI videos. Yeah, they call it slop. I don't even want to know, Eddie. I'm sure it's a lot. I don't think I would have been smoking weed to feel better if I hadn't been just sitting at home all day not doing anything. Emma 23 says, as we come upon our 8th mind-numbing month of social... Oh, this was during the COVID 2020. Ugh, horrible time. Horrible time. Her sentiments are especially relatable. As quarantine draws on, students and adults alike have looked to the most popular illicit substance for comfort, weed. While most small businesses struggle to stay afloat, cannabis sales in Colorado, Oregon, California, Washington State, and Nevada spiked during the first week of lockdown. Don't you remember? We were all stocking up on our pot. We loved it. I just want to make this a little smaller. Is that okay? Let me scooch forward too. Scooching forward, move this over here. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. As many enjoy a recreational puff, some have also indulged in creative pursuits while high. Oh my God. Stocking up on toilet paper, that was the worst, right? Wasn't that so funny? People were hoarding toilet paper. I was not one of those people. I did not hoard toilet paper. I washed my ass in the tub, okay? And otherwise, it was very easy. You can kind of shake a little bit and you do things to not have to use so much toilet paper. We could all learn from that and use less paper. Okay, so I started using weed to write last year just because I had more access to it and I was smoking at more low-key events. Previously, I felt like I only smoked in parties or large groups of people. She says in college, I just started smoking with myself or one other person. I focused on how it felt as a headspace instead of just a social lubricant. And that's when I started writing when I smoked and smoking to write. Do you tell me, Club, do you like to what kind of creative pursuits do you do while you are stoned? Let's see. Let's see. Okay, we started our poll. I know people who still got COVID TP in the closet. Oh my God, that's so funny. Jail, that's funny. D, I love to write anything really and cook. Wow. Cool. Reading for me can be a little difficult when I'm stoned, although I'm doing that right. Okay, so then let's look here. It says using cannabis. I always just change that word to cannabis because why do we need to be like marijuana? Using cannabis for creative purposes is nothing new. Amadeo Modigliani, Louis Armstrong, Miley Cyrus, and SZA are just a few creative and vocal recreational cannabis users. But does getting high really increase creativity? The effects of weed on creativity have not been studied extensively. I mean, nothing, but we do know that cannabis produces what the fuck is psychotomimetic symptoms. Acute memory and psychomimetic effects of cannabis, both joint and individually. Interesting. I want to look up what this word means. Copy. Paste. Relating to or denoting drugs which are capable of producing an effect on the mind similar to a psychotic state. Oh, so it makes, you're trying to say hallucinate? Hey, Vanessa finally caught a stream. Hey, the one who laughs. Welcome to the live stream. Glad you could be here. Oh, yeah, disinfectant wipes. Major. They were big. Results. Cannabis alone impaired verbal memory. A priori contrast indicated that tobacco offset the effects of cannabis on a delayed recall. However, this was not supported by linear mixed model analysis. Cannabis low dependently impaired WM. By contrast, tobacco improved WM across all load levels. The acute psycho rating of stone and dizzy induced by cannabis were not altered by tobacco. Cannabis and tobacco had independent effects on increasing heart rate and interacting effects on increasing diastolic blood pressure. Okay, interesting. So cannabis impaired verbal memory and WM. What the fuck is WM? Doesn't it say somewhere for me? Working memory. Oh, well, we're witnessing that right now. We didn't need a lab test to do that whole study. You can just watch one of these live streams to see. I think I do pretty all right, given how high I like to get. Anyway, this means that taking a drag from a joint might lead our brains to connect unrelated concepts, which shifts our perception of reality and occasionally increases creative tendencies. That whatever this was that we just looked at, I didn't look like it said that. It looked like what it says to me is that it impaired verbal memory. That's what it says. Oh, but then it does say psycho, but that is like make you insane. What does that mean? So it increases dizzy and stony. I don't really see where it says that it pros recall, working memory, performance including maintenance. So I just don't really see where they're getting. That's why it's important to look at sources. Sometimes, you'll look at an article like this and you'll be like, oh, that's impressive. Look at, they've got a big word and it's highlighted. So I take that seriously. And then you go and you're saying, okay, well, I don't want to click on it though. And I don't want to read all of that and then have to comprehend it. So you just read what they say, and what they say is not what that says. So just always take things with a grain of salt. Anyway, this explains why getting high breaks us free from ordinary thinking patterns and increases the chances of creating novel ideas in unconventional art. What a fucking stretch. When I'm high, I feel like I'm mostly writing poetry or stream of consciousness type writing. I definitely feel that for poetry, I find that it is much easier for me to put things down on paper. Whereas when I'm sober, I put my thoughts through a lot more filtration and I'm less honest than that type of writing is supposed to be. I see the only way to actually take this seriously from the writer here on whether or not cannabis allows her to be more free flowing with her writing is to give her a placebo, right? So give her CBD or something just whatever, nothing, no THC in it. Don't tell her what's what. Probably going to be pretty obvious. It's hard, right? So you'd have to administer it in some way that she wouldn't notice the difference between the two. And then see if it actually does improve her writing. Hi, Russ. How's it going? Hi, Liberty Genetics. Welcome to the stream. It sucks that there can't be legit studies since it's federally illegal. I mean, there are studies. There definitely are studies. There just aren't as many as there would be if it was not a Schedule I drug. So, there's definitely studies. as far as all of those comments saying that the work I did in my cookbook is available online, that's bullshit. It's not. No one, I have not seen anyone do the type of lab testing that I did for my cookbook. Which, if you haven't, while we're talking about it, if you haven't picked up How to Eat Weed and Have a Good Time, this is my cookbook. It's out now. I did over 200 lab tests. I really wanted to know how long does it take to do everything from canna butter to tincture. For anyone who's saying, well, who the hell is cooking with flour still? Just use concentrates. I also have a section called Cooking with Concentrates where I talk about how to do that and what concentrates need to be decarboxylated and which ones already come decarboxylated. And now if you're in a place that access to concentrates isn't as easy as it is in a state like California, which has everything you could ever think of, then that's why this book has the basis with flour so that it's inclusive, because the book is dedicated to everyone who loves to eat weed and loves edibles. Thank you, Harry. I just want to say thank you so much for the 5-star reviews. Oh, you got Reefer Wellness. Yeah, Dr. Kirk's book, Reefer Wellness, is out now, too. If you're a real weed nerd and you want to read all about how cannabis works in our bodies and the history of it, Dr. Riley Kirk wrote an amazing book, Reefer Wellness. You should check it out. If you haven't ordered my cookbook yet, it is excellent. People are loving it. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. I also see all of your recipes. The arancini, Jasmine, those arancini looked great. You do have to let the risotto sit overnight. It gets like congealed when you do that. And that's where you can form those rice balls. I don't like to tell people to do things like that where it takes a lot of time unless it's totally necessary. Yeah, Bonbon's always having wild dreams. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. That with judicious George Carlin, the late, he said, okay, so let's read this. She's so cute. Look at her. Jon Stewart interview with George Carlin from 1997 is amazing. This old video, let's watch it. That sucks. It's not there. Okay. Okay. I should stop clicking things. All right. It's not there. Bummer. That would have been cool. All right. We don't need to look at that either. Okay. Yeah, Bonbon is always dreaming. There's more here that I want to look at. So we won't listen to the oh my God, Alberta. There we go. Okay. That's obviously not my birthday. Louis Armstrong and cannabis, the jazz legend, the jazz legends. I don't know why that was so hard for me. Lifelong love of the gauge. The gauge. Louis Armstrong, just the name evokes the image of a dark, smoky dance hall filled with classic jazzy trumpeting tunes tinged with nostalgia. Known fondly as Satchmo and Pops, Louis Armstrong is instantly recognizable for his unmistakably gravelly voice and unique trumpet playing. He rose to prominence in the 1920s, one of the first African-American musicians to cross the line into popularity and influence not only jazz music, but popular culture in general. Love it. Go Pops! On August 4th, we celebrate the birth of one of the most influential figures in jazz. But did you know that Pops loved his pot? I didn't know that. Let's see what this says. Okay, Winslow, we're going to have to figure out, I don't think you're here, but we're going to have to figure out what the hell is going on with YouTube playing. I feel like the stream, something's wrong with the stream.
Actually, I haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Armstrong before the show, but we had a great discussion about it. In the show, Bob back, I said, well, what? I haven't had a chance to talk to.
Why is it doing this, man? I'm going to text him and say, why is the... Every time I try to watch a YouTube video, it is glitchy. And the stream says the bit rate is wrong, so there's a warning. Okay, trying to fill in our tech guy. Armstrong was born in August 4th, 1900, into an impoverished family in New Orleans and grew up in a rough neighborhood known as the Battlefield. Ooh. His father abandoned the family when Armstrong was a young boy, and his mother often had to resort to sex work to keep the family afloat. It was during these formative years that young Satchmo was first introduced to the dance halls filled with scandalous dancing, ladies of the night, and jazz musicians. He often found himself in trouble for general delinquency as a teenager. There is a particularly notable anecdote in which the young boy shot his stepfather's pistol into the air on New Year's Eve, a move that landed him a stint in the New Orleans home for, that sounds horrible. For shooting a gun into the air. It was there that Armstrong met the man who would change his life, Professor Peter Davis, who would teach Louis how to play cornet and provide the basic musical instruction that would alter the course of American music for generations to come. Wow. Armstrong's first gigs were playing in brass bands on steamboats floating up and down the Mississippi River. Can you imagine? He traveled with Fate Marable, a jazz pianist and band leader who recognized the raw talent in Pops and encouraged him to embrace his inventive improvisational style. Jeez, right? I heard that George Carlin would write jokes sober and then go back and punch them up high. That's funny. Louis Armstrong first tried cannabis in the 1920s and used it throughout his career, including before performances and recordings. He referred to cannabis affectionately as the gauge, a common parlance of the time. We did call ourselves the Vipers. We could have been anybody from all walks of life that smoked and respected the gauge. He said when describing his relationship with cannabis to biographer Max Jones. That was our cute little nickname for marijuana. We always looked at pot as a sort of medicine, a cheap drunk, and with much better thoughts than one that's full of liquor. Wow, isn't that a interesting quote and way of looking at weed? A medicine, a cheap drunk. So like not as expensive as liquor, and better thoughts, like the way your brain processes things. When you drink, it's usually not so positive. It is said that the jazz instrumental song Muggles was influenced by cannabis. I wonder if Muggles is where it says it right here. Before Muggles popped up in popular culture, thanks to one of whatever the term Muggles or Mugs, I won't say her name during Pride. The term Muggles or Mugs was a term often used by jazz musicians to refer to cannabis. Oh my God, look at that. Look at this lady. This, you know what, turf. Taking fucking words from cannabis, black culture. How fucking lame. Anyway. Pops gets popped. Armstrong was arrested in November of 1930 while smoking the gauge outside the Cotton Club in Culver City, California, with his drummer, Vic Burton. He described the incident to a biographer years later. Vic and I were blasting this joint, having lots of laughs and feeling good, enjoying each other's company. Just then, two big, healthy dicks, we're going to keep that expression, came from behind a car nonchalantly and said to us, "We'll take the roach, boys." Detectives confided in Armstrong that the arrest was prompted by a band leader who was jealous of Satchmo's natural talent. He got a fucking narc. Don't be a narc. No narcs allowed. And called a stool pigeon on him. Luckily, the detectives were fans of Armstrong's music. Ha ha, little bitch. And although he spent 9 days in the downtown Los Angeles City Jail, his jaunt to jail only proved to cement his love of the plant. That's one reason why we appreciated pot, as y'all calls it now. The warmth it always brought forth from the other person, especially the ones that lit up a good stick of the shuzits or gauge. Nice names. Shuzits? Shuzit? Of that shuzit. I've never heard that before. I love it. Gauge. Should we start calling it gauge? Armstrong received a 6-month suspended sentence. After his 9-day stint, he was back on the bandstand, where some of his admirers struck a funny chord upon hearing the news of his arrest. I laughed real hard when several movie stars came up to the bandstand while we played a dance set and told me when they heard about me getting caught with cannabis, they thought cannabis was a chick. Ooh boy, that really fractured me. They thought he got caught with a sex worker named marijuana because they didn't know what marijuana was. Anyway, the after effects of his arrest for cannabis would ripple throughout his career, but it rarely had a negative impact. Rather, Armstrong found a camaraderie among his fellow vipers and kinship with those who felt a similar affinity for the gauge. In describing one such encounter in Chicago, Armstrong recalled, "The doorbell rang. I went to the door and found one guy standing there pointing towards 4 other youngsters getting out of the car. These boys pulled out their guitars, ukes, and wailed a while with a perfect beat, which lifted me up beautifully. Then they put up their instruments. One cat pulled out a big bomber. I wonder what it must like a big joint. Lit it, took 2 drags, looked straight into my eyes as he passed it to me, saying, 'Pops, we all feel like you could use this stick after all you've been through.' He reflected on the moment as one of joy and inspiration. That moment helped me forget a heap of ungodly things." Because can you imagine what it, anyway. Did Richard Nixon smuggle cannabis for Armstrong? Perhaps the most oft-told fable from Armstrong's storied relationship with the gauge involves Japan, a suitcase, and then Vice President Tricky Dick Nixon. In late 1953, after Armstrong flew out of Japan, he encountered Vice President Nixon at the airport. Nixon was surprised to see the trumpeter and said, "Satchmo, what are you doing here?" You're welcome, JL. It's cool. I mean, sounds like a cool dude to me. I don't know much about him. Armstrong explained that he had just finished a Goodwill Ambassador's tour of Asia and was now headed toward customs. Nixon scoffed and grabbed Satchmo's suitcase, saying, "Ambassadors don't have to go through customs." The jazz legend's suitcase, filled with nearly 3 pounds of cannabis, was carried by Vice President Richard Nixon through the airport, bypassing customs entirely. Tricky Dick unknowingly smuggled cannabis into the United States for Louis Armstrong. I mean, can we prove this? Probably not, but we like the story. Yes, I know Louis Armstrong was a pioneer of music. I don't know much about his personal life, right? Like, I don't know his whole life story. Later, congressional aide named Charles McWhorter informed Nixon of the mishap after hearing the tale from traveling musicians. The startled Nixon exclaimed, "Louis smokes marijuana?" That's funny. Lucille arrest. On New Year's Day in 1954, Armstrong's wife, Lucille, was arrested by federal narcotics agents at a hotel on Waikiki Beach. Ooh. A U.S. Customs inspector found 1 cannabis cigarette and 2 half-smoked stubs. Well, they need to leave her alone. The weight of which, holy shit, totaled an impressive 14.8 grams. Like, how big was that cigarette? The cannabis was found in Lucille's eyeglasses case, chic. But it was widely speculated that the stash belonged to Louis. I think Lucille liked to puff a little bit. Her arrest prompted Louis to sit down at the Alexander Hamilton Hotel in San Francisco and write a lengthy letter to his manager, Joe Glazer, on the topic of Gage. Mr. Glazer, you must see to it that I have special permissions. Wait, why is my mouse doing this? Mouse, you behave. You must see to it that I have special permissions to smoke all the reefers that I want to when I want, or I will just have to put this horn down. That's all. Love it. Live for it. What's that red button? What is that red button for? I heard he smoked, but this is really enlightening, right? Isn't it cool? Armstrong was fed up with prohibition long before legalization was even a consideration. I can gladly vouch for a nice fat stick of Gage, which relaxes my nerves. If I have any, I can't afford to be tense, fearing that any minute I'm going to be arrested, brought to jail for a silly little minor thing like marijuana. Agreed. Armstrong published a biography in 1954 entitled Satchmo, My Life in New Orleans, but his manager insisted that the part pertaining to marijuana be suppressed, with the possible sequel, and someday that would be simply called Gage, on the premise that the entire second book might be about nothing but Gage. The sequel was never published, and Armstrong's affinity for the reefer remained a rumor throughout his career. In the months leading up to his death in 1971, Armstrong finally agreed to sit down with biographers Max Jones and John Chilton and tell it like it was. He admitted that eventually he was forced to give up the Gage despite its medicinal benefits. As we always used to say, Gage is more of a medicine than a dope, but with all that the rigmarole going on, no one can do anything about it. After all, the Vipers during my heydays are way up there in age, too old to suffer those drastic penalties. That's right. So we had to put it down. But if we all get as old as Methuselah, our memories will always be lots of beauty and warmth from Gage. In the end, the penalties of illegal cannabis were too much, even for the legendary Louis Armstrong. Well, that was my life, and I don't feel ashamed at all. Mary Warner, honey, you sure was good, and I enjoyed you heap much, but the price got a little too high to pay. At first, you was a misdemeanor, but as the years rolled on, you lost your misto and got meaner and meaner. Love. What a great quote. So bye-bye. I'll have to put you down, dearest. That's sad. So he had to put it down because he didn't want to risk going to, I love how you were pronouncing the slang words. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to I'm just trying to say it like I would say it. I don't want to say it in like a funny accent or anything. I don't want to even attempt an accent other than for the dicks. Well, we can do that. Okay, so that's very interesting.
Did Louis Armstrong, one of the great...
Stop. So we can't... Problem is the videos aren't working. So I'm still trying to figure out this computer, okay? Okay, let's see if this will work. Okay, let's see if, oh my God, why is this mouse so tricky? Why is my mouse not working? Does it need to be charged more? Okay. I'm hoping this will play. We're going to let it load a little bit and hope that this will play. Because if it doesn't play, I don't know what to do. Heard from my partner who's a music buff, and he said he smoked with his whole entourage and a good amount on a weekly basis. I'm wondering if I need to plug this in. No, because the battery should be new. Yeah, there's like a new battery in here, so I don't know why this mouse is acting weird. I just want to check something. Okay. So I want to watch this, but I'm worried it's a little loud. a lot of music. I'm just going to pause this and see what's going on with my Wi-Fi and what can I do. Video bitrate is 2500. I don't think I can change. Warning, the streaming audio bitrate will be set to 160. Warning, recordings cannot be paused if they're recording. Oh, thank you. My food is here. Okay. Oh boy. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's Bonbon. Viceland is a good source of information. That's funny. Cody. Okay, let's see if this will play.
People with pipes, they like to debate or talk about whether a pipe is art. What I've realized for me is that the whole conversation...
I don't know if it's like my ear. Let me take this off and see if it
revolves around respect. Making pipes was an artistic protest against the status quo. I started...
Okay. I'm watching Seems Fine. No, Winslow, watch this. Okay? I'm just going to play this while I
growing
get
glass in
my
1997. I discovered glass basically on the fish lot. The whole reason I really got into it more than anything was for freedom, to be able to work for myself, ideally be creative and work with my hands. And I love smoking weed, so all these things kind of came together at the right time in my life. From there, it became survival mode, working long hours, failing and pushing yourself, learning how to be an entrepreneur and actually like sell your work. Just keep chasing the American dream. Around 2001, I chose the name Marble Slinger. I was a little bit paranoid about selling pipes on the internet. The obstacle that we knew we were confronting is basically the law. In 2003, there was Operation Pipe Dreams, which was like a federal operation to go after the largest bong and paraphernalia manufacturers in the country. Now, that trickled down and affected everyone, but what it really pointed out to me was that if I'm going to pursue the American dream and try to be an entrepreneur, if I get to a certain point in success, the federal government can shut my business down. That made me start to question, how much longer am I going to make pipes? That's actually why I started making my film, Degenerate Art. If I can make a piece of propaganda that counteracts the propaganda against marijuana culture, specifically what I'm doing, paraphernalia culture, that will help give me forward momentum to have a future for myself and all the other members of my culture.
Viceland,
and I kind of saw that happen in other subcultures,
that's
like graffiti, for instance, and skateboarding, and I saw the kind of films that came out about those subcultures. They didn't necessarily validate the culture, like I didn't need it validated to me, but they put the cultures in a context that made people take it more seriously and kind of look at it in a different way. It's interesting to ask yourself the question, where did this glass pipe scene come from? Why are there hundreds to thousands of people making ornamental, interesting, technical glass pipes, and there's all these collectors?
Curry.
What is the socio-political context that creates a scene like that? In a lot of ways, I saw making glass pipes as like sort of an arm of the legalization movement. A protest saying that this is a beautiful plant in a place where this plant has been demonized.
Okay.
Smoking marijuana isn't necessarily something we do as just like a drug to escape. It's something that's done in a ritual form where people get together and communicate, and part of that is a passing of this instrument. That instrument becomes a focal point amongst that group. It becomes like such an important utensil that people focus on. A microphone, in a sense, that gets passed around. I'm very much a part of that culture. And in my opinion, an artist's job is to reflect the culture they're a part of and reflect the times. And so that's what I do. Being creative in any medium can like cross over from one material to another material. You can choose sort of anything, and with enough diligence and work, you can actually like progress and get somewhere with that.
I got my Thai food.
I started a body of work doing graphic design image that I was sandblasting onto pipes. And I really liked the idea of appropriating images, sampling something, remixing it. When I designed the Morton Salt Girl holding the machine gun, it was 2007. And the housing market was crashing, and everyone was talking about recession. And it seemed like a rainy day. Felt like by putting a machine gun in her hand, I was kind of liberating her from like the corporate packaging she was on. And from there, I started making a few t-shirts. And lo and behold, people really gravitated towards that image. I started to really have to meditate on like what that image means to me. The United States gun culture is very intrinsically woven in with American culture. Everything
What do you guys
from
think of this video?
Second Amendment rights to school shootings to the militia movement and the ownership of guns. And then people debate that quite often in this country. Guns are a big symbol of being American. It kind of opens a conversation about the United States.
Okay, let's watch
and
something else.
what goes on here socio-politically.
But...
If I tell someone that I make glass pipes who's very uninformed with this scene, they might not picture in their head the kind of work that me and my peers might make. For me to make this really beautiful pipe that someone's going to spend a bunch of money on starts to normalize something, makes someone start to view something in a different way and open their mind up. Yeah. Whether it's the big glass schools or the museums or all these places, they're all slowly falling to it. I'll tell you why they've embraced it, because they saw how much money we were making in the end. That's what it comes down to. It's difficult in the United States to be an independent business person. Beyond that, the idea of being like an independent craftsperson or tradesperson, a lot of that is dead and gone. It's machines and factories creating stuff, and there's not a lot of handmade goods. In the glass community, we're at kind of the end of an era. There's a struggle in preserving that. But it's beautiful that we've found a contingent of collectors that appreciate it.
Let's eat some papayas.
There's an activist side to making pipes. I want to subvert the art establishment. A lot of it is just about keeping it real and being authentic and staying true to yourself. And all that is organic. I think it was
the AirPod Max. Like, basically, I took them off of my ear and it stopped. I think it stopped skipping, and I don't really need them to wear them. So I don't know. Okay, so I wanted to go to this and see this.
And Dr. Jacques-Joseph Moreau created the Hashish Club in the 1840s. They invited many leading literary revolutionaries going back centuries.
Okay,
Cannabis
we're watching
use is becoming increasingly mainstream. But before widespread legalization, there were literary giants, physicians, philosophers, and revolutionaries going back centuries who partook of the herb. These are some historical figures who may have dabbled in cannabis. While we probably wouldn't take his medical advice today, in the first century, Pliny the Elder was one of Rome's top scientific and medical voices. Pliny was a savant whose discoveries and writings would influence scientists for generations. His best-known work was the 37-volume Natural History, which deals with the world's physical, geological, zoological, botanical, and medicinal history. In particular, books 10 to 32 detail Pliny's thoughts on contemporary medical literature and the use of drugs, and it's here that we find references to cannabis and marijuana. He refers to a type of cannabis drink or tea that's helpful for things like pain reduction and gout. And in Book 24, Pliny refers to the Gelotophilis plant that, when mixed with myrrh and wine, causes laughter and visions.
Roman red, a whole field of wacky weeders.
The translation for Gelotophilis is lapping leaves, and is thought by some to mean hashish, a form of marijuana derived from the plant's resin. Pliny's use of Gelotophilis was a little different than the medical marijuana of today, though it does seem to have produced similar effects on patients. Few writers are as highly esteemed as Englishman William Shakespeare. Even today, more than 400 years after his death, he's arguably considered the greatest playwright of all time.
Okay,
Yet
this
when
looks
people
really
talk
good.
about Shakespeare, his possible connection to cannabis is rarely mentioned.
I pray thee, gentle mortal, sing again.
To be fair, there wasn't really any evidence that he used marijuana.
Okay, it has little
outside of
baby
his
shrimp in
colorful
it, too.
imagination until early 2001.
Little baby ones.
That's when researchers published evidence in the South African Journal of Science that indicated that he may have been a pot smoker back in the day. The researchers tested 24 different pipes found at locations where Shakespeare lived, and they showed some surprising results. 1/3 of the pipes they tested had residue indicative of burnt cannabis. In addition to marijuana, researchers found potential evidence of myristic acid and cocaine, as well as tobacco. To be clear, no proof directly attaches Shakespeare to the pipes. So even though we'll probably never know if it was Shakespeare himself blazing up, it is an intriguing thought. Long before marijuana dispensaries dotted the landscape of major cities like Denver and Los Angeles, some physicians in the medieval Islamic world were apparently prescribing cannabis to their patients. One such physician was Ibn Sina, more widely known as Avicenna. Avicenna lived in the 10th and 11th centuries in what is today Iran and Uzbekistan. He was probably most well known for his book, The Canon of Medicine. Though he published the text in the 11th century, Western medical students in the 1600s were still reading it, which is pretty extraordinary. Of the huge list of things that Avicenna would prescribe to his patients, cannabis sativa was used for a variety of ailments. These included headaches, infections, degenerative bone disease, eye inflammation, swelling, and gout. Avicenna used cannabis for its anti-inflammatory properties and would administer it locally to his patients. Today, doctors recommend marijuana for a wide variety of ailments, but not for things like degenerative bone disease. However, a 2004 study in Noon and Schmiedeberg's Archives of Pharmacology did find it useful for helping combat edema, so maybe Avicenna was onto something after all. One of the most famous figures of the Mexican Revolution, Pancho Villa led an interesting life. Born in 1878, Villa joined the revolution in 1910 to fight the corrupt Mexican government, led by Porfirio Diaz. By 1914, he was a fugitive, but he had an army of 5,000 men by his side. Following the Second Battle at Tarion in March, where they defeated the government, Villa's exploits with marijuana were lionized in a song called La Cucaracha. According to High Times, the chorus of La Cucaracha is translated as, the cockroach can no longer walk because he hasn't marijuana to smoke. Villa is the cockroach who needs marijuana so he can fight while under the influence, which was supposedly something he and his army did with frightening regularity. In addition to Spaniards and Mexicans, there were many Yankee natives in Villa's army. Many of the Yankees are said to have smoked marijuana before going into battle, using its psychoactive properties to make them more formidable and dangerous. Villa's other troops may have also smoked too, in addition to drinking psychedelic whiskey and mezcal. It's somewhat terrifying to think of a THC-fueled army running wild, but luckily Villa has been dead for 100 years. His name isn't very well known today, especially in the West, but Huato was an important physician and surgeon who lived in ancient China during the 2nd and 3rd centuries. While we don't think of our ancient ancestors doing complex medical procedures, the first surgeries actually date back as far as 8,500 years ago. Nowadays, when someone gets major surgery, they're often put to sleep with a powerful anesthetic. However, back in Huato's day, the process was a little more difficult, and his preparation involved an anesthetic he referred to as malfeasance.
Good pad thai room,
I don't know exactly what Huato put in his malfeasance cocktail, but some speculate it could have been a combination of cannabis resin and wine,
We're going to
or
talk about
cannabis
it.
and the datura plant. The author of The Count of Monte Cristo and The Three Musketeers, Alexandre Dumas père, was quite the marijuana connoisseur back in the day. The French author lived from 1802 to 1870 and was a major force in the French Romantic literary movement. As it turns out, from 1844 to 1849, Dumas was part of the mysterious French club the Ashichan.
Pad thai is very like an
Other
American
great French
thing
writers of the day, like Victor Hugo, Charles Baudelaire, and Théophile Gautier, were also part of the group. They smoked in a hotel on the left bank of the Seine River.
It hits
the Gothic
spot.
building had
It's
gargoyles.
like Pad See Ew,
While at
you
the
know?
house, members dressed in Arab
Always
garb
tastes
and
good,
drank
buttery
coffee
and-
infused with hashish. They called dawames.
Oops.
Maybe I'm high or something, man. I don't.
Or maybe you're in the present.
The leader of the group, Dr. Jacques-Joseph Moreau, had been smoking hash since the 1830s when he visited the Middle East and brought the drug back home with him to France. Though Dumas never wrote about his personal experiences with hashish, his book, The Count of Monte Cristo, mentions the use of dawames during the scene with Sinbad the sailor.
Okay, and I got
he
green
published
curry.
it just as he joined the hash club, coincidentally.
So I'm gonna take some white rice.
Few women in history are as famous as Queen Victoria, who had an entire era named after her. Yet while the Victorian era is thought of as prudish and excessively modest, marijuana use may have been an important part of the Queen's life. There's no direct evidence that Victoria ever actually smoked pot, though there is a ton of circumstantial evidence that leaves the possibility very open. Much of the speculation comes from a letter her physician, J. Russell Reynolds, wrote in 1890. The letter was quoted in an article published in The Lancet.
They always draw it out. Just tell
Therapeutical
us.
Uses and Toxic Effects of Cannabis Indica.
Okay.
In it, Reynolds suggested the use of marijuana, referred to as Indian hemp, for all kinds of things. These included neuralgia, senile insomnia, and even epilepsy. Throughout the article, Russell is spirited about the positive effects of marijuana, making it clear he thinks Indian hemp is a very viable medicine.
I'm just going to write a prescription for you for 2 huge bags of weed.
Though he never mentioned Victoria in the article, people assume that, as his patient, she may have been prescribed Indian hemp for menstruation. There was even an Indian Hemp Drugs Commission in the 1890s that recommended it for menstrual pain. We may never know for sure if Victoria used it, but it was definitely a hit with her physician.
I bet she
Even
did
today,
use
writing
it.
a play that largely revolves
And
around
if
the
she
use
did
of
use
hashish
it,
would be pretty
the
bold,
royal
which
family
is what
hid
makes
it.
Louisa May Alcott's 1869 Perilous play such an
Hi,
audacious
Pete.
decision. Published just a few years after the Civil War, the play
Hey,
deals
JL,
with a
she
group of friends who
smoked
take
that
hashish
shit.
bonbons together and have a vivid experience.
Don't worry, it'll just give us trippier visuals.
Okay, green curry.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
It has dark moments of terror and near assault, and ends with one of the main characters saying, "Heaven bless hashish." Not exactly your typical
I don't want to
19th
tip it
century
'cause
love
I'm
story.
gonna
In fact, the author of the play,
Oh,
Louisa
shit.
May Alcott, who
Spill.
served as a nurse during the Civil War, was known
we're
to
gonna
use hashish
put
in her
some on
personal
that
life.
rice.
And Perilous Play wasn't
My
the only
nose is
story she
running.
wrote that
I
referenced
know.
cannabis.
My nose is
Another
running.
one from 1877, a modern Mephistopheles, also sees the
Excuse
main
me.
characters eating edibles infused with hashish. And she even references her own personal use through her writing in the story. It seems that Alcott was more into smoking hash than doing edibles, and she also drank beer and used opium. At the time, her drug use was
Cool.
completely legal, and her substance use was far from unique among those who'd experienced the Civil War. Today, Alcott is best known for her 1868 book Little Women and its sequel Little Men, neither of which mention cannabis. Of all the medical uses of cannabis recognized by doctors today, it's unlikely you'll find many who recommend its use to help ease symptoms of passing gas.
I have meal, you gonna start breaking gas. Don't break gas and destroy our meal.
Yet if you had been alive and gassy during the 9th and 10th centuries and were living near Ray, in what was then called Persia, you may have had access to the famous physician Al-Razi, in which case you'd have been in luck. Al-Razi used cannabis to treat multiple issues, including flatulence and epilepsy, as well as dandruff and earaches. He suggested that when taking cannabis seeds or hashish
It needs a
orally,
little
it
more
was
heat.
important to drink fresh water and eat acidic
They
fruits to
gave me
avoid a
this
bad
like
reaction.
jalapeno
Al-Razi
chili.
was also an alchemist, and his medical knowledge
smell
may have
this.
been influenced by earlier Greek physicians like Claudius Galen
No,
and
'cause
Pedanius
that's sour.
Dioscorides, who had experimented with medical cannabis centuries prior. Al-Razi wasn't just a practitioner of medicine, he was also an intellectual who studied other cultures' medical practices. And as a result of his extensive studies, he continually
Put this
recommended
chili
marijuana.
paste.
The impression one might get after reading the works of Claudius Galen of Pergamum, a 2nd
Hi,
to 3rd
Marvin.
century
Where you been,
Greco-Roman
man?
physician and philosopher, is
We
that the
missed
ancient
you.
Romans were big fans of pot.
I'm putting some of this
One of his
on.
most
I know
famous
it's
works
kind
was
of
De Alimentorum
sacrilege, but
Facultatibus, in which Galen
not
suggested
spicy
toasting
enough.
marijuana and eating it to enhance certain meals.
Hey. Smoke weed every day.
that's
He
right.
may have been referring to marijuana-infused cakes, a widespread delicacy around ancient Italy that he and his compatriots would eat for dessert. But in
What?
addition to consuming cannabis recreationally, Galen also saw medical potential in the plant. He considered its use for earaches, as well as inflammation, upset stomach, gout, and muscle soreness. Importantly, Galen was cautious not to overuse marijuana, suggesting that too much could make you impotent or result in a headache. Galen was an influential physician in his time, and his impact was felt well over 1,000 years
Yummy.
later by physicians and
Okay.
intellectuals.
I don't wanna
He
eat
influenced
cheese.
later Arabic and Muslim scholars, potentially including
Fine.
figures like Al-Razi, who later experimented with medical cannabis.
We're
When
just gonna
Théophile
chill.
Gautier and Dr. Jacques-Joseph Moreau created the Hashish Club in the 1840s, they invited many
You know
leading
what I'm gonna
literary
do,
figures
though?
of the day. In addition
have
to
some
Alexandre
cookies.
Dumas, Gautier and Moreau also brought along Charles Baudelaire, another famous French poet. Ironically,
I'm
even
gonna
though
bake
Baudelaire
a
may have
cookie
written
for
most
myself,
prominently
okay?
about the use of hashish and was known to occasionally indulge, he wasn't a frequent user.
Baudelaire claimed to have an analytical interest in wine, hashish, and opium as elasticators of the imagination.
Baudelaire was a member of the Hash Club as an observer rather than a user of hashish, but he was known to have tried it at least a few times, and he may have previously used it when he contracted an STD as a young law student. But by middle age, he reportedly found hashish to be socially isolating and preferred wine.
After a while, they would fall into, they would start behaving very erratically and very hilariously, and then they would fall into stupor.
Nonetheless, Baudelaire wrote the book Le Paradis Artificiel, or Artificial Paradise, which included the poem of hashish. In the poem, Baudelaire describes how some people feel under the influence, both the negative and positive, and gives a brief history of
What's
hash,
funny?
as well as its use by various cultures throughout the world.
Baudelaire.
Even though he may not have been a heavy cannabis user, Baudelaire provided some valuable and interesting insight into its use during the 19th century. Pedanius Dioscorides was an ancient Greco-Roman physician and pharmacologist who referred to cannabis
Wow, a
as
lot
a
of
cure for
people
several
who
ailments. Born in the year 8040 and passing
used
away at the age of
cannabis
50,
over the years.
Dioscorides
How about
wrote
you're
about
not on
hundreds
your
of
mark?
medical plants, including the cannabis plant. His contemporaries included
not on your
Pliny
mark,
the
you
Elder,
sit on your
another
mark.
proponent of the medical use of cannabis. Dioscorides' seminal work is De Matera Medica, which translates to On Medical Matters, and that's where his references
The
to
thing about
marijuana
eating
are
is
largely
always makes
contained.
sense.
Dioscorides suggested the use of cannabis for inflammation, earaches, and dubiously as a form of birth
That's the
control.
male plant.
Do not try that at home, kids. Do not try that at home.
For inflammation, Dioscorides suggested taking
We're
the
gonna
roots
talk
of the
about
cannabis
protests
plant
again,
and
don't
boiling it
worry.
in water to form a curative medicinal concoction. But considering the massive numbers of plants Dioscorides writes about, cannabis wasn't too high on his list. Oscar Wilde was a 19th century poet and novelist originally from Ireland. A highly educated man who went to several prestigious colleges in the United Kingdom, his poetry was well received by the late 1800s. He even toured the United States and Canada, though not everyone was a fan of his work or his idiosyncratic dress.
I'd do anything to regain my lost youth except take up exercise or get up early in the morning.
Tragically, Wilde would later be imprisoned due to his homosexuality, which happened around the time that he was known to use hashish. According to a letter Wilde sent to his friend Robert Ross from Algiers, in late January 1895, Wilde and his companion Lord Alfred Bosie Douglas were engaged in copious hashish smoking while on vacation. He went on about how much he enjoyed smoking, writing, "Bosie and I have taken to hashish. It is quite exquisite. 3 puffs of smoke and then peace and love." They seem to have been buying the hashish from locals and apparently had better luck finding it than they did a tour guide. In 1881, researchers studying ancient Egyptian mummies made a stunning discovery. When they were uncovering the tomb of the 19th century dynasty Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II, they found evidence of cannabis, not just within the burial site, but on the embalmed pharaoh himself. In all, they found 7 different grains of cannabis pollen on Ramses II. It was speculated that the cannabis was not native to Egypt, but had traveled some distance to get there. Ramses II is thought to have passed away in the early 13th century BC, meaning the cannabis had been there for over 3,200 years by the time the researchers found it, a testament to the preservation properties of the tomb's environment. Looking back, it's actually not that far-fetched that Ramses II could have been a marijuana user. Cannabis was used in Egypt for medical purposes as far back as the 16th century BC, hundreds of years before Ramses II was even born, as recorded on the Ebers Papyrus. Unfortunately, there are no clues as to why the marijuana was inside Ramses II's tomb or whether he used the plant for medicinal or psychoactive purposes. Pablo Picasso is widely regarded as one of the most influential painters and artists of the 20th century. He was also a brief user of hashish in the early 1900s. Picasso was born in Malaga, Spain in 1881, and by the 1890s he was already making a name for himself as a painting prodigy in Madrid. At the turn of the century, Picasso made his way to Paris, which was followed by his blue, rose, and analytical cubism periods. It was during the latter that he is said to have used hashish. In Patrick O'Brien's Picasso, a biography, he claims that Picasso would ingest hashish pills with friends, though it was largely experimental on Picasso's part. Unfortunately for the artist, it seems as though his experience with the hashish pills was overall negative and he didn't want to keep using them.
11
In addition, he
hydroxy
found
got
that one
him.
of his friends had died by suicide, potentially as a result of mixing hashish pills with other drugs, which really turned him off to the idea of further use.
Well, don't blame
Following
the
his
weed
brief
man.
flirtation with cannabis, Picasso went on to have his most successful artistic period, including his major contributions to the Surrealist movement. Though most people have likely never heard his name, anyone in favor of the use of medical cannabis ought to be familiar with Sir William Brooke O'Shaughnessy. O'Shaughnessy was an Irish surgeon who began testing the use of cannabis as early as 1838 on sailors employed by the East India Company. By 1839, he was ready to present his findings, and his paper on the preparations of Indian hemp or ganja, published in the British and Foreign Medical Review, immediately made waves, and by 1900 had inspired at least 100 other publications also alluding to the use of medicinal marijuana. In the paper, O'Shaughnessy somewhat erroneously claimed that the use of medical cannabis in Western Europe was unknown, but pointed to its widespread use in Arabia and Persia. He remarked on several different methods for ingesting the cannabis, including mixing it with water to drink, smoking, and even creating tinctures with resin. He suggested the possibility of using marijuana to combat cholera and thought it might even work for tetanus. O'Shaughnessy's work, while primitive, laid the foundation for the future of medical marijuana study in the West. He was one of the few doctors of his time to be experimenting with cannabis as a medicine, and without O'Shaughnessy, the state of medical cannabis in the West may have taken a different direction.
Welcome to my world. 2 escargot, pate, frisee, 2 green salads.
Okay, man, it's up here.
Lamb chops, steak frites. Shouldn't you be doing something? 2 smoked filet and a pepper steak. Come on, make the dessert. Chocolate tart, please.
As a cook, tastes and smells are my memories. Now I'm in search of new
we can't
ones.
watch this.
So I'm leaving.
It's going to be copywritten. Okay, sorry about that. I was putting cookies in the oven and making sure Bonbon could go outside. And how can I help you? She wants a treat. Come here. Sit. right, let me pull this up. What did I just do? Let me pull. Oops, the daisy. Winslow sent an article. We're kind of like taking a detour from the scheduled program, but that's okay. Okay, so we were looking at all of that, and now we're going to get this article. And let's read this. I'm going to read this to you guys, okay? You can hear me okay? So this is from The Nation. What I saw in LA wasn't an insurrection. It was a police riot. I mean, we all know what an insurrection looks like. We saw it on January 6th. It was a police riot. As Trump mobilizes the Marines to quell an insurrection in LA, it's essential to be clear about how the protesters started and what actually happened. Consensus reality surrounding the LA protest seems to be as follows. While Trump's decision to send 2,000 National Guard troops, then 700 Marines, then 2,000 more National Guard troops to Los Angeles is making the situation worse. The situation was bad before they got there. I'm biting my joint. So I feel like the mouse doesn't always scroll when I want it to. Come on. Like I'm trying to scroll now. It's not scrolling. Maybe the battery's dead? How old's the battery? Pockets of LA descending into chaos. An NBC News anchor declared in an extremely typical news segment on Monday, protesters setting cars on fire, dumping bikes and scooters on police cruisers on the highway. Law enforcement firing hundreds of flashbangs and non-lethal projectiles. Stop crying. I gave Bonbon a treat and she's crying about it. I don't know what to do when she gets like this. She gets too excited and she's like, I don't know what to do with this treat and I don't know where to hide it. Okay, she put it next to me. In the background, footage of these atrocities, cops beating protesters and with truncheons, tear gas, a car on fire, a shirtless masked man waving a Mexican flag atop a wrecked Waymo, cops firing into a crowd at close range. The only active violence in these clips comes from the cops, but no matter. That fire is what you should be worried about, the fire and nothing else. While some organizations reported from inside the protest itself, most did not. They set up camp behind the police line or reported using drone footage or simply asked the cops what to say. Dozens of people were arrested Sunday and accused of attempted murder, arson, and other crimes during a day of violence and protests in Los Angeles. NBC Los Angeles declared in an article based exclusively on LAPD sources. You always have to look at the sources. It's an understandable decision on their part. Just look at Lauren Tomasi, a reporter for the Australian Channel 9 news service who got caught in the crossfire and struck with a rubber bullet while reporting, by which I mean an LA police officer aimed directly at the reporter from close range and shot her. She reports being sore but okay, which is more than photographer Nick Stern can say. The day before, a less lethal round punctured his leg and required emergency surgery. As of Tuesday, which will cost him who the fuck knows how much, poor guy, he's going to be stuck with some crazy medical bill on top of it all. As of Tuesday morning, the LA Press Club documented over 30 injuries to members of the press. Easier and safer to parrot police talking points than face down their guns. I spent Sunday from about 4 p.m. until very late inside the LA protests, and this is what I saw. Yes, cars were set on fire in one part of this sprawling multi-block protest. Yes, fireworks were launched at cops, a handful sporadically, but it should be noted that these were launched long after these police officers began unloading flashbang after flashbang, rubber bullet after rubber bullet into a largely peaceful crowd. Flashbangs are stun grenades that produce a flash of light and deafening noise. Okay. How are you guys feeling? Am I bumming you out? The idea that the cops were just reacting to protester provocation is absurd. Cops occupied intersections in an attempt to split the protests and occasionally charged the protest lines that surrounded them to force the crowds to temporarily retreat. These assaults seemed unrelated to protester action or lack thereof. At one point, while the cops were unloading round after round of blue-tipped rubber bullets into a crowd hunkered down behind a barricade, a different group of protesters approached from the side and threw a firework into the center of the police line. The cops turned their fire against the group, which ran off but did not pursue them. 30 seconds later, the cops were back to shooting at the barricade. We have heard a lot about the assault of police officers during these protests. Why haven't we seen it? Where's the body cam footage showing protesters injuring cops, striking them, putting them out of commission? I saw police officers struck by a water bottle thrown by protesters in a barrage launched around 7:30 p.m. After those protesters spent hours absorbing less lethal rounds and being deafened by flashbangs. But that's about it. Meanwhile, we've got drone footage of a mounted officer using his horse to trample a protester who lies prone on the ground, surrounded by mounted police. We've got cops beating protesters with truncheons, cops deploying tear gas, cops bringing box after box of ammunition to the line so they could fire again and again into crowds of protesters, exercising tremendous restraint throughout the day. Okay, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. When I arrived, I think they definitely said, it wasn't totally peaceful. When I arrived on the scene, the cops were seriously outnumbered. Thousands of protesters, a couple hundred cops. Maybe that's what he means by restraint, right? Like they could have crushed the cops. If there had truly been a riot, those cops would have found themselves overrun, disarmed, brutalized. But it was a protest, so they were fine. And yet the anti-protester framing is relentless. Like what would have basically what happened on January 6th would have happened. There would have been cops who got hurt. So they're asking, like, where are those cops? And yet the anti-protester framing is relentless, even from otherwise balanced sources. Demonstrators protesting the raids have clashed with police in Los Angeles, Paramount, and neighboring Compton. NPR reported on Monday. Did they or did police clash with the demonstrators? Let's not forget why these protests are happening in the first place. ICE is conducting extra-legal abductions of law-abiding individuals for the crime of possibly being undocumented. We can't know their status for sure because there's no due process. We can't on my ride from the airport to downtown LA, my Uber driver gestured to an area of LA to the west of Route 110. This whole area is immigrants, she said. They aren't coming out of their houses. The grocery store her mother goes to is virtually empty. Like a third of LA's population. She was not born in this country. She came here from Argentina when she was 6. She's lived here ever since. She has a job and a child with a man who was born here. But that's not enough to protect people anymore, and I'm going to tell you a story about that too. As the driver pointed out, as protesters around me would later point out, the president's not wrong. LA is under invasion. But the invading force isn't the immigrants who live and work here. It's ICE attempting to abduct children from elementary schools by claiming their parents authorized the pickup. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. Let me reread that to you. It's ICE attempting to abduct children from elementary schools by claiming their parents authorized the pickup, or rolling up to Home Depot to abduct people doing the most American thing imaginable, pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, hiring themselves out as day laborers to make a better life for themselves and their families. It's the Marines deployed against their fellow citizens by an administration that's fantasized about quelling First Amendment activity by force for half a decade now. These are the un-American hordes descending on Los Angeles. Trump can call these protests invasions all he wants. I know what I saw. As the sun began to set, riot cops from the LA County's Sheriff's Department showed up on trucks fully kitted out with shields and gas masks. The rapidly shrinking protests saw the writing on the wall, and rather than confront these militarized enforcers, turned and walked away into the night and into the city. For hours they marched, blasting mariachi music and old-school West Coast rap and chanting their simple, reasonable demand, "No ICE in LA." As the protesters marched, they chanted something else. Whose streets? Our streets. It wasn't a declaration of war or a challenge to others who might lay claim to the city, but a statement of obvious fact. As these several hundred protesters marched the wrong way up a one-way street, completely stopping traffic, an overwhelming number of drivers honked and cheered. They rolled down their windows to fist bump the protesters and take pictures and shout their approval. This is America at its best, not the sadistic cruelty and police brutality on display for days, weeks, months, years, but people waving Mexican flags, proud of where they come from and defiant in the face of persecution, blasting Kendrick Lamar as their fellow Angelinos cheer, singing along, "We gonna be all right, we gonna be all right." Toward the end of the night, as the march began to wind down, someone rattled the doors of a Nike store until they ripped clean off their hinges and fell to the pavement. After a moment's hesitation, protesters began to loot the store. Bummer. There were cheers, but this moment marked the end of the evening. Even before cops showed up for the final push, the final declaration of unlawful assembly, the final arrest, the mood soured and shattered. Verbal altercations broke out. People started to peel off. It was an unfortunate end to the evening. It was also a unique event. No other store was touched. These protesters didn't march through LA to destroy it. They marched to show the world, their city, and themselves that they will not stand down in the face of federal invasion. The march left graffiti in its wake on windows, on walls, on the sides of buses. Paint washes off. It does no significant damage. Deporting children who are both U.S. citizens and cancer patients, shoving a sobbing mother and her children into an unmarked van for the crime of showing up to a court appointment, brutalizing a union leader for attempting to peacefully stop these atrocities. The damage from things like this cannot be undone, even if the court releases all of these people. Anyone focused on something as relatively harmless as graffiti, or on a single looted store, or on the 5 cars set ablaze in a protest composed of thousands, has lost the plot completely. Tactically speaking, these isolated acts of violence were a mistake. They create an opportunity to take photos of scary-looking people in front of walls of fire and then disseminate it again and again and again to portray the entire movement as would-be arsonists and murderers that must be crushed by any means necessary to save the city itself, which is what is now happened. But let's be clear, the protesters are not provoking the administration when they engage in these tactics. The administration provoked these protesters. It introduced violence into the equation when it began abducting people off the streets without due process. When it gleefully posted ASMR videos of human beings illegally put onto planes in shackles, or created a Miyazaki AI photo of a woman weeping in handcuffs, they introduced it when their masked goons broke into a congressman's office on suspicion of harboring rioters, and when they arrested a sitting mayor for carrying out his duties of office. The administration introduced violence and lawlessness into the situation. They cannot pretend to be surprised when some Americans respond in kind. And when the media reports on protests like this as though the demonstrators are the aggressors who pose a danger to the cities they're in, they are complicit in the Trump administration's destruction of American liberty. This is true regardless of how scathing the rest of the article may be. What option other than protest do the American people have at this point? The Democrats have abdicated their responsibility. They send taco trucks to the White House, but refuse to meaningfully impede the machinations of this regime. They could make the government grind to a halt. They could hold up every routine procedure, as Mitch McConnell did in 2008. Instead, they grandstand and look to the midterms a year and a half away. The government has failed to protect us. The government is actively oppressing us. The government has rendered itself the enemy. Not all forms of resistance are advisable, but at this point they are understandable. The regime wants to shatter the social contract. Very well, but that decision cuts both ways. As Trump moves sometimes words are hard for me. Inexorably toward the martial law, reading them out loud. In my head, it's fine. The martial law he's longed for all this time. As the unrest spreads to more cities, as the administration's war on the American people goes kinetic, it will be tempting to victim blame, to equivocate, to find some reason that the protesters deserve what's coming. They don't. We don't. We deserve an America that lives up to its ancient and never realized promise, land of the free, home of the brave, defender of human rights for every single human within our borders. Ideally, we would not have to fight our own government to get back on that path. More and more, it's looking like we do. Interesting. What do you guys think? Interesting. Where'd our chat go? You guys are quiet. Oh, wait. Why do I see it? Okay, Chasing Sunset loves it. Please use English if you can. What are you saying? What are you saying? Okay. All right. So that is what I wanted to read about that. And now I'm going to go get my cookie. Excuse me while I go get a cookie. Excuse me. Got my cookie. Let's keep going. Let me see what's here. Louis Armstrong was a cannabis. Hi, Harry Lee. These protests matter. Fox wants fires and Mexican flags. Yes, they do. They want to go look at California. What a mess. One second. I wonder if this is going to be another AI. Okay, it's 3 minutes. Is it AI? Doesn't look like it.
Cannabis and the artistic reorientation of attention. If you want to understand how artists see the world, consider the nature of cannabis intoxication. To be high on cannabis is to undergo a reconfiguration of attention, a shift in which aesthetic experience supersedes practical cognition, providing a taste of the perceptual experience of the artist.
What?
Consider the case of Jason and Edgar, two renegade poets gallivanting across the Amsterdam countryside on their bicycles, high on cannabis.
Okay, enough.
As they ride through fairy tale villages, their senses are flooded by cinematic imagery.
My audio? Or this audio. It's on your end? Okay. That worried me.
A woman with platonic children glides by on a bicycle. A dog races across a green field, manifesting as a miracle. A flock of birds takes flight precisely at the crescendo of Chopin's music, as if the universe itself were orchestrating their reverie. It's all positively wondrous, a state of rapture. But what is cannabis doing here? It's simple, but extraordinary. Cannabis enchants our perceptual machinery like fairy dust, with what Martha Nussbaum calls extreme qualitative intensity. The world, which in everyday life recedes into the background of practical concerns, suddenly manifests in full aesthetic splendor. Surfaces shimmer with suggestiveness. Contours deepen. Colors bloom. The visual field itself becomes gripping, magnetic as though seen for the very first time. There's a sense of intense perceptual expansion that obliterates our brain's predictive models. No more been there's and seen that's, but instead a sense of surprise and vivid particularity. To be high on cannabis is to step into the world of the artist, where each moment seems primed for portraiture, where every configuration of objects in space seems to demand photographic capture, where time slows to accommodate a heightened perceptual intake, a mode that filmmakers, poets, and photographers know well. For Jason and Edgar, this has become a non-negotiable priority, a way of life. For these troubadours of immediacy, the world becomes a field of pure potential, ripe for playful co-creation, ecstatic articulation, and creative inspiration.
Read another article. We're going into visual art, okay? Really goofy, Ramona. Artistic duo in Sydney cannabis laws protest vindicated as prosecutors drop charges. Wow. Case against Alex Zammit and Will Stoke, who projected pro-cannabis images onto Sydney Opera House and Harbour Bridge, abandoned after nearly 2 years. Wow. All they did is put weed on. I'm going to send the stream to Nina. That was a really good cookie, I'm not going to lie. That's from my cookbook, Chocolate Chips Ahoy. And you know what's funny? I didn't put enough butter in that recipe that I did. Totally. Totally. Okay, so what did they do? Under the banner, Who Are We Hurting? Sydney pro-cannabis laws. Cool. So they projected pro-cannabis lights and imagery onto the Sydney Opera House and Harbour Bridge as part of their protests using high-powered lasers at 4:20 a.m. That's funny. I mean, no kids are going to be awake, maybe. Coordinated from inside a hotel room, police went to the hotel and interrogated Zammit for about 40 minutes, he told Guardian Australia. Stoke was also questioned. I wish there was a photo of it. There was a moment where the magistrate questioned where the concept of 420 came from, joking, I think it's Hitler's birthday. What? Oh yeah, R.I.P. Brian Wilson, a true weed enthusiast. We can look at him too. We can totally look at Brian Wilson. No, I was going to say, where's the dog? But she's not here. She must be in the bedroom. Okay, so this is kind of boring. Let's not look at this anymore. $420 came from the Waldos. Interesting. The like keyboard doesn't connect to the computer. There we go. Sorry. Let's read this. Brian Wilson and the different drugs that inspired the Beach Boys albums, they make you want to sing. Maybe I'm being prude here, but there's one thing that has always been set my teeth on edge in rock culture. It's in romanticization of drug addiction. Calm down. It's just weed. Well, Charlie XCX is different. Wilson was clearly too sensitive for the circles he found himself in. He was entrusted to the care of abusers and users. Uh-oh. Okay, wait. Let me read this. What weed recipes should I bring to protest? Chex Mix and cookies or brownies? I feel like any of those is good. I feel like cookies and brownies travel pretty well. So does Chex Mix. It's easier to dose a cookie or a brownie, and I feel like you'll like not be being careful about how much Chex Mix you're eating compared to like if you're like, oh, I had 1 or 2 brownies. Okay, so let's read this. Bill Love and Mercy illustrates this with brutal... Okay, wait, sorry. Got to the point where several people deep down think that they can't be creative without chemical assistance, or at the very least, it's a prerequisite to thinking outside the box, right? We read that in that other article. To them, I'd simply tell them to look at the history of Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. Bill Pollard's 2014 film Love and Mercy illustrates this with brutal clarity. John Cusack and Paul Dano played the Beach Boys' genius in varying states of their drug-fueled decline and fall into the clutches of Paul Giamatti's verminous shrink, Dr. Eugene Landy, a man whose treatment of Wilson was apparently even worse than the shocking depths shown in the film. Wilson goes from a warm, creative, and funny young man to a traumatized, utterly dependent wreck in a way that both Cusack and Dano embody with chilling humanity. Now, am I going to be the kind of reactionary narc who sees the state Wilson finds himself in and blames it entirely on drugs? No, Wilson was clearly too sensitive for the circles he found himself in. He was entrusted to the care of abusers and users when he was in dire need of genuine health care outside the Hollywood world. However, the weapons the sycophants and leeches in his life used to keep him compliant were absolutely drugs. It's a testament to the monk-like patience he must have today that he could stomach a question like the one put to him by New York Magazine in a 2005 interview. When asked about the drugs behind your albums, Wilson responded, Pet Sounds was marijuana. The Van Dyke Park song, Smile, was Benzedrine. Psychedelics put you in a vocal mood. They make you want to sing. It's like when a bird lands on a wire. This is a level of grace that only a man who is completely at peace with his past could find, if you ask me. Especially, well, of course, if you ask me is redundant. The whole article is us asking you, right? Especially when it completely disregards Brian Wilson himself as a creative. Sure, blunts and tabs can relax you into silencing everything, telling you your bad ideas are bad, which can lead to some interesting experiments. However, the idea that Pet Sounds comes from weed and not a man driven to find the connecting point between the Beatles and George Gershwin is quite frankly infantilizing. If anything, we may have lost a record due to his tuning in, turning on, and dropping out. After all, the reason we didn't get the record Wilson envisioned as his masterpiece, Smile, at the Beach Boys' 1960s pomp was all the hippie hangers-on feeding him tabs of LSD like he was a vending machine. Looking at him today, it's a miracle he's still around. Let alone, well, R.I.P., let alone that he was performing live so long into his dotage. I know I sound like a cop. However, that's a badge I'm willing to bear if it means a few more people like Brian Wilson as less of an acid casualty whose dabbing led to some great records and more of a bona fide genius he truly is. Okay? Good vibrations. You know, good music. Anyway, all right, so that was that. We've gone a little off track. A little bit off track. I wanted to watch, how old is this? 1 second. Okay, this is relatively new. Okay, let's see what we got here. Uh-oh. Go away. Okay. Human Rights Watch. Seems legit. A joint report by Human Rights Watch and Drug Policy Alliance. Summary. Nixon had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities, vilify them night after night on the evening news. I'm sorry, little baby. I know, I'm so sorry. I know, my little dog wants to go for a walk. You're just going to have to hang out for just a tatty bit longer. I know, I see you. You're very annoyed with me right now. She's touching my arm like, can we go do something? Is the Be Real podcast parking lot chill? What? I don't know. Incorrect. He did complete smile. Okay, Alan, that's good to know. Her granola recipe would be great. Yeah, the granola is good. Did you try it, Fraggle Rock Pothead? You tried it? All three combined. That's an idea. I'm just petting the dog because she wants some scritches. Okay, so John, House cancel. In August 2023, Natalie Burke. This seems pretty heavy, but we'll keep reading it. Was pardoned by the governor of Arizona following a unanimous recommendation of the Board of Executive Clemency. It had been 20 years since she was convicted of a set of offenses relating to selling and transporting marijuana, but she cannot move on with her life because U.S. immigration authorities are trying to deport her, even though cannabis is now legal in Arizona and she has a pardon. Back in 2003, Natalie was trying to escape a severely abusive relationship that had involved her in selling cannabis. She was sentenced in Arizona State Court to 3 years and 120 days probation. What is on you? Ew. What was that, Bon-Bon? I don't know what that was. That's gross. Hi. Okay. In an interview for this report, Natalie explained that one day in 2009, her probation officer asked her to come into the Tucson office to fill out some paperwork. Her son, who was in 5th grade at the time, waited for her outside in the parking lot. Natalie never came back to him. Oh my God, 5th grade? That day, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, officers took her directly to an immigration detention center because her conviction made her deportable from the United States. Initially, Natalie was released from immigration detention on bond pending a direct appeal of her conviction, but ICE rearrested her after the appeal was final and she spent 1.5 years in immigration detention. Can you just imagine 1.5 years of your life gone? As soon as Natalie was released the second time, when your kid's in the 5th grade, Second time from immigration detention, she began pursuing a social work degree, but the constant worry of being taken away took its toll. She told a researcher for this report, every time my classroom door would open at Arizona State, I had so much stress, I felt like they were going to come get me all the time. Still, she earned her bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees, and she, sorry, just looking. And she, where did I go? Proudly sent her son off to college. Even with her educational background, Natalie was afraid to start a career on an expired green card and deportation order. She submitted an application to set aside the judgment in her criminal case, and it was granted. But while post-conviction relief restored her rights under state law, she learned that U.S. immigration agencies did not always interpret federal immigration laws to recognize such state procedures. Natalie remained a risk. She worked delivery and rideshare gigs to make ends meet and was denied apartments due to her past convictions. Finally, she applied for a pardon from the governor of Arizona in 2018, and even though Arizona legalized cannabis in 2020, her pardon was denied. Why all these people make all this money. In the midst of this stressful situation, Natalie had a stroke, but her immigration status prevented her from obtaining health insurance, so she had none to cover her medical costs. However, Natalie reapplied for a pardon, and 1 year later it was granted by a new governor. It was 20 years since her arrest and 44 years since she came to the U.S. from Jamaica when she was just 2 years old. I never thought I would live this life, and it was never explained to me that you're really not permanent here, that if you commit a crime, that they would get rid of you and discard you ASAP. Even with a hard-won gubernatorial pardon, gubernatorial, I don't know, sorry, I'm doing my best, pardon from the governor. And even in a state where marijuana is now legal, ICE is still trying to deport Natalie. She continues to fight back and is currently pursuing new legal arguments based on the pardon. Natalie has summoned an uncommon level of resilience, and her story may sound unique, but the features of her case are routine. A long-withstanding U.S. resident with a drug offense on their record, subjected to years of litigation, prolonged detention, and the constant threat of deportation, and a bar on ever returning to the U.S. Wow. Imprisonment. Yeah, 1.5 years of imprisonment. Wild. In 2015, Human Rights Watch published A Price Too High, documenting the unjust provisions of U.S. immigration law that in effort doubly penalize immigrants by imposing civil penalties after they have served their sentences for drug convictions, by subjecting them to often extended detention and ultimately deportation. Since then, there have been positive strides at the local, state, and even federal levels to reform drug laws to better align with the public's desire for evidence-based policies grounded in public health, but those reforms have not altered federal immigration law's draconian approach to drugs. Hi. Oh wait, where's Nina? Hi, Nina. Welcome. Hi, Nina. We're reading about cannabis and how it affects immigration. State and federal drug policy is most often overridden by federal immigration law, depriving immigrants of reforms that only benefit citizens. Conviction of even the most minor drug offense, for example, possessing a small amount of a controlled substance, including cannabis, where that is illegal, carries devastating consequences that far outstrip the criminal sentence imposed. Not a single immigration consequence tied to drugs has been curtailed since they were expanded under the administration of U.S. President Ronald Reagan in 1988. That's as old as me. Also, I appreciate some with the help of Winslow. Yeah, okay. I'm smoking a shitty vape. Nina, I got some decent weed from Winslow. Do you want to call in? Do you want to try calling in? Winslow, do you think we can hook up a FaceTime call-in? The failure to reform federal immigration law. Okay, we'll do it. Nina, I'm going to call you, I think. But wait, Winslow, how do I FaceTime from this computer? I don't... Oh, wait, no, Nina, because I got to... Shit. Oh, maybe I can do... Okay, 1 second. So Nina's calling me here. Maybe I can set up... How do I get a Bluetooth of my iPhone? Nina, just 1 second. We're going to try and tech this out. Let me see how I can... Here's my iPhone. I can connect it here, right? Zoom or Discord? But we didn't download Zoom, right? I don't think so. Let me call you back, Nina. All right. We're not going to connect that. We're going to try and... We did. You downloaded Zoom? All right. Let me go to this window thing. Recommended. I guess I can search apps here. Oh, wait. Look at it. Even let me spell it wrong. Zoom app. Okay. I'm going to go to my main... Bonbon's not there. Sorry. Actually, should I create a new scene for this, Winslow? Or should I just keep it in the browser? Should I just keep it in the browser? I'll just keep it in the browser. Sesh. Okay. Let me sign in to my... Ugh, why does it do this? Sometimes the the mouse and the keyboard don't want to connect to the computer. And I'm like, hello? There we go. Okay, I'm going to call you on... I'm going to give you a Zoom link. Nina, just let me log in. Oh, it wants to check my email. Okay. Check my email. It's always like, don't tell this code to anyone. I'm like, who do you think I'm telling this code to? Oh my God. I'm just going to skip this for now, okay? So we're going to new meeting. Oh, wait, cancel. New meeting. I'm starting a new meeting. Oh, wait. See, this is going to connect. Maybe I need to connect it with... These weren't connecting, Winslow. We're going to try these again. Let me try. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Come on. AirPods, not the Max. Come on, AirPods, connect. Because how is Nina gonna... How do I talk? Can I talk to her through the... I can't talk to her through the mic. I have to use... Wait, Nina. Can you just have some patience with me, please? Unless you need to go. Okay? I've already set it up. I'm going to put these on. I'm going to do my AirPods. Okay? No, not a custom select AirPod Max. Okay. Speaker. Speakers. We'll do this. I'm going to start this. Ooh, no. Oh, no. There we go. I'm going to start this. I'm not going to do my video, but I'm going to share. I'm going to share this meeting. Oh, it wants, I don't want to share the screen. I want to share this meeting info. I'm trying my best right now. Invite link. And then I'm going to email it to you, Nina. And then I've just got to connect. Is everyone still here? Apricot. Apricot. Oh no. I'm going to email Nina. Okay, Nina. Gmail. Oh, shit. Oh, no. No, that's the Zoom. Okay. Zoom. Okay, this should work, Nina. I'm getting used to this computer. It's a little tricky, I'm not going to lie. That was a lot. Okay, where's my Zoom? This needs to go away. Return to meeting right there. There's my Zoom. And I don't know if you hung up, but I'm going to add a window capture. And I'm going to call it Zoom. Okay. And I'm going to capture the Zoom meeting. Automatic. I don't know what that is. And you don't have to be, oh, look at how big that is. Isn't that cute? I just wanted to capture the audio. Actually, we don't even need this. I can get rid of that. Yes, I want to just capture an audio source. Audio input capture. Oops, Zoom. Zoom. Okay, and then I have to pick. Well, let's see if this will work, you guys. It's okay, Nina. Are you going to come into the Zoom, though? I think it'll work if you join. There's only one participant here. I'm going to go. Did you get my email? Let me text you. Let me text you this, Nina. Because I think if you join the Zoom, and then we'll see if this audio will work. You joined. Well, why aren't you in here? Oh, wait. Are you joining? I don't have my camera on. I'm in the meeting. Maybe I need to let you in. Where's all of the people? No, I don't see you. I'm sorry, Bonbon. I know. You got a hard life. Nina. Oh, there you are. You're in the waiting room. I'm admitting you. Okay, everyone. Okay, I want to see if they can hear that. Can you guys hear? I can hear you. Can you hear me? People, can you hear her? Is it sound terrible? Is it a double echo? What if I turn off that? How's that? Oh, you can't hear her. Let you remote. How do I do that with? They can't hear you, Nina. They can't hear you. Okay. Okay, we'll figure it out another time. We tried. Okay. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. Winslow wants... Oh, shit. Winslow, I feel like that's going to be too much right now. While the stream is going. Better. But you guys couldn't hear Nina, right? I don't fucking know, you guys. It's okay. Are you doing that, Winslow? I'm not doing that. We got rid of the Zoom. I deleted the Zoom. I ended the Zoom call. Do you want me to try calling you? Why don't you set up a new meeting? Do a new meeting, Winslow, and then you can call yourself and you can try, or we can try Discord. Should we try the Discord? Do it through Discord? What do you think? I'm going to let you do this. But you see here, I put it to my AirPod Max, right? And it was trying to go through this mic. I don't know what the right connection is for that. Like, do we go through that's not going to be good. That's going to go through the Cam 4 link. Bonbon, can you cut it out, please? Come here. You do, Bonbon? Yeah. You're just a sleepy girl. She gets bored, you know? She gets bored. They can hear me. Well, Nina, my computer got taken over. We can keep talking about weed. I can pull it up on my other computer. Or I can keep reading this, okay? All right. So I'm going to keep reading this while Winslow... Discord is something I'm learning still. You can do calls on Discord. Totally. Okay. The failure to reform federal immigration laws means even more people have been deported. In 2015, we analyzed data from 2002 to 2012 and found 260,000 people deported whose most serious offense was drug-related, with drug use or possession offenses as the most common. This amounted to 1 of every 4 deportations of immigrants with a criminal conviction during that time period. In this report, Human Rights Watch and the Drug Policy Alliance analyzed 17 years. And, oh, look it's Winslow. Are you going to join the chat? It's Puppy. What you gonna do, Bonbon? I can't read because we're doing Winslow's taking over my computer, but you guys can watch me scratch Bonbon. She puts her head down. Oh, she wants to lay down. She wants to lay down while I do it. You know, it's like the places she can't scratch herself. How Bonbon? Ramona, I love this dog so much. Oh, there you are. I can hear you. It's complicated, right? But I don't know if they can hear you, Winslow, and I'm only getting weird little bits and pieces. Can you guys hear him? I bet there's an echo with both the Zoom and my mic on. I don't think this is the way. I think the way is Discord. Because the audio capture for Zoom is too... Maybe? I can't even hear you. It's all weird. The Discord, Kyle, you either have to be a member on Patreon. I'm also going to do it for YouTube subscriptions too. Set up YouTube Discord channels for the YouTube subscribers. So if you want to subscribe on YouTube, thanks, Winslow. We tried. We'll figure it out. I'm sure there's a YouTube video to tell us how to do this. That's your skill. That's what you're going to help. What was I saying? Oh, if you want to join the Patreon, the Edibles Club, that's a great way to join the Discord. It's for the quarter up and higher tiers. Oh, wait, I can't put this away from my face. Sorry, Baba. It's got to stay right here. So it's for the quarter up and higher tiers. Actually, we're going to put all the tiers on Discord. But the quarter up tier, we hang out after the kitchen sesh on Saturdays. And so that's using the video, definitely audio. Sometimes we do video, depends on our mood. And that's on Patreon, the Edibles Club. Can be hard to find because, okay, goodbye. Can be hard to find because of the 18 and plus content, they kind of restrict my, let me go back to main. They kind of restrict my account from being searched. We went a little off topic today, but that's okay. Let's all meet up and play Halo in the Discord. Yeah, we can be something that we do. Ground Wagyu is a lie. It doesn't hold together as a burger. Where did we get on Wagyu? I'm going to put me in the middle. Why are we talking about Wagyu? Hi, fam. Is the stream done? Elio, bye, Ramona. It's almost done. We're still hanging out a little bit. Had some Thai food. I got to walk my little dog. We talked about art. We talked about protest. We talked about immigrants. We talked about music. Louis Armstrong, very interesting. Harry, we're going to do that for the $5 tier. We're going to create a Discord channel. Anyway, so yeah, that's the plan. And today I think was pretty fun, pretty interesting. We talked about Brian Wilson, R.I.P. And we were talking about activism and immigration. Iran attack imminent. What's going on, Andre Blackwell? I got you under subscription on here. Just don't know what to search for on Discord. I just started the subscriptions on YouTube. I didn't see any new members of the subscription here, but I'll look, and if you're there, I'll send you a Discord link. Fabian says, found you over at Be Real TV. Much love. Oh, thank you. That's cool. I love Be Real TV. He's the best. I'm trying to see if there's anything else we should watch. A personal Vanessa Discord link. How special. Yeah, that's part of the subscription is Discord. So that's good. Because it's a club. It's the Edibles Club. And YouTube is a little bit higher, the prices, than than Patreon, because Patreon doesn't charge as much as YouTube. So if you want the deal, go to Patreon, and then you can join there. Or you can join here on YouTube, because I know sometimes people don't like to put their card everywhere. Oh my God, I really missed a good one. I've been an artist for 12 years. I started to do show starting at 16 years old. Yeah, we were talking about how cannabis is used in different, artistic expressions, music and art and all sorts of things. It's okay. We always doing cool club sessions, but I think I'm going to end it now, because I need to go walk my little dog. Okay. And she's been pretty good so far. And also I am stoned, and because that cookie was dosed, by the way. That was a dosed cookie. That was one of the cookies from the reel that was before this that I made, that I put like half a stick less butter than I was supposed to, because I was distracted. But that just tells you that my chocolate chips Ahoy recipe is excellent, and you can fuck it up and it'll still be good. So there you go. All right, everyone. I'm going to have a nice walk. Bye, y'all. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Oh, don't worry, Winslow. That's why we're testing things out. It's so great. I feel like we really figured out a lot, and I'm going to cook was just half. What's half? Have a great weekend, everyone. I hope you have a great week. Yeah, it's Wednesday. It's hump day. We still got a few more days to go through. Can you believe it? It's a long week. Okay. Oh, and what we're cooking this weekend. Nina and I wanted to do appetizers, right? So I am getting a shipment of caviar from a friend of mine. It gets here tomorrow. So I was going to make bellini, and we'll have a little infused caviar, high, low, brow, whole bit. So that'll be Saturday. Come and hang out for the kitchen sesh. The Patreon link is right up top. If you haven't joined the Edibles Club, please consider it. And I just got a bunch of more t-shirts for merch, because I know people have been wanting t-shirts. And so I ordered both black and white, and I just have to go get them screen printed. So that's on my list of things to do. If you're like, why don't you have more merch, like sweatshirts and stuff like that? Like, I honestly don't have anywhere to put them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where. Okay, so this is like the main. This is the main. I have like such an instinct from an Apple using a Mac that, like I just want to do copy C. I love caviar. I'll take it. So that's the main Simon & Schuster link, right? You can go there, and this is the Amazon link if you want to get my book here. Thank you, everyone who's been ordering my cookbook. It really went up in ranking over the last little bit. It is, you can see where it's at. It's still it's in the top 20,000 of all books, which is very cool. I'm going to have to get a black shirt. Yes. Bumper stickers. Yeah, we'll have to get some more things made that aren't too big, because I don't have anywhere to store anything right now. That's my cookbook. Club is up top. The June bugs are in rare force. Oh boy. And I hope everyone had a good time this evening, and we learned a little bit together. It's always nice to kind of just get high and learn stuff together, read things, and have a good time. So I'm going to roll the credits, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for the super chats. Those are very much appreciated. They help pay for all of this stream and the Thai food I just enjoyed and everything. And I hope to see you all on Saturday. Don't worry. I'm not worried about ICE. I'm not going anywhere. It's, it's a very small areas that the protests are happening, and they're pretty peaceful. So yes, but I will avoid everything. All right. Have a good evening. Let me roll these credits. These are my club members. They're members of the Edibles Club. We have Madame Dram, we have Kathy Sachs, we have Lindsay Gabriel, we have Chris. Those are my edible producers, and you'll see they help me out a lot in the chat. Chris is telling me how to fix the ear things. It is truly a wonderful community. We share all sorts of things. Petra just shared pictures of her goats the other day, and Michelle showed us a beautiful photo of an amazing looking key lime pie that I wish I was shoving in my mouth. Anyway, I hope you'll join. Thanks for being here this evening. Come hang out on Saturday, 1:20 p.m. Pacific. We will be making infused blini and caviar because we're fancy, we're posh potheads. Love you all. Remember who you are. My voice kind of cracked. Let me say that again. Remember who you are.